right, well, are you executive producer today?
She's like, yes.
Make her stop.
She's like, can do, Papa. Hello, and welcome back to Women for Wealth. So today, Willow and I, this is Willow, by the way. If you don't know Willow yet, this is Miss Willow. She's my 9-pound poodle. Yes, I know. But Will and I want to address a question that we constantly get asked. Can a stay-at-home mom become wealthy? And my answer is yes. So how does a stay-at-home mom become wealthy? Number one, you don't have to have a traditional career, but you do need income. You need to do something where you will earn money. Whatever, if it's a side hustle, that's great. If you've got assets that you've inherited, awesome. Whatever it is, you need to have some form of income. You can't just not have any income and expect to build wealth. You cannot get there. Your income is your greatest wealth building asset. Now, I personally choose to work out of the house. I have zero desires to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home housewife. I know that others do, though. And I completely support the idea that being a mom is the most important thing a woman can do in her life. And if her husband makes enough money and is willing to support her to where she can not have a traditional income and not have a traditional career, that's great. I support that. But, if you've got a wife that wants to stay home and doesn't want to work, and you've got a husband that didn't agree to this, didn't sign up for this, when we met, she worked. Early on in the marriage, she worked. And now, most of the kids are out of the house and grown, and she doesn't want to work. Well, no, wait a minute. It's this and what we agreed to. If you don't talk about money with your spouse and you're not on the same page about money, it's going to cause resentment on the part of the spouse that has to work. And that could really be detrimental to your relationship. So make sure if you are going to stay at home that you talk to your spouse and he or she is completely supportive of you making that decision and making that move. But like I said, if you want to be wealthy, you're going to need some form of income. One of the things that I was recently specifically asked on is, hey, I want to stop work. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm going to grow enough food in the backyard to offset the grocery budget to make up for my salary. Well, I also have a gardening channel called Heather's Greenhouse, and you can see it. I have thought about it. I've racked my brain. I don't see any way to completely offset your budget with a backyard garden. If you have a small homestead, yeah, you could probably get by. You could probably grow enough veg to be able to support your family and yourself. But it is a ton of upfront cost, and it is a lot of time. I mean, I have a small garden in the backyard that I grow a couple of veg for just my husband and me, some tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, peas, various things like that. I'm not trying to offset a grocery budget. I'm just trying to add supplemental veggies that I know I've grown and I've controlled. I know they're completely organic. I know they're healthy. I've grown them. I get pride in having something that I've grown that we eat for dinner. It just makes me feel good. But I'm not doing it to try to offset a grocery budget. I don't know that it could be done in a backyard garden. So one of the other things was, well, I'll produce enough veg to have excess and then I can sell that. And again, I don't know if in a traditional backyard garden, you can grow enough veg to supplement your family's budget for the grocery bill and have enough surplus to sell enough to earn enough income to offset the cost of being a gardener and the time investment that you're investing to be a gardener. Again, I don't think it is feasible on a backyard garden scale. I think you'd have to have a homestead. And, from what I understand with homesteads, even they're not financially feasible. Usually one of the spouses has to work off the farm to supplement and be able to bring in enough money to even live on the farm. So it's actually, instead of it building assets and building wealth, it's actually a net attractor. It's a liability to own a hobby farm, from what I've heard. I've never owned a hobby farm, but I have talked to several people that have. Another thing that somebody said, well, hey, I don't want to work anymore. I want to retire and I want to be a flower farmer. Well, I grow a ton of flowers in my backyard along with my veg. I love personally to cut flowers and make bouquets and bring them in to my house and sit them on my desk or sit them on my table. And I do that for some of my neighbors. I tried one year to share with my community. And so I would, on Fridays, go and cut a ton of flowers. And I had a table I set up near the road. And, I put all these flowers out there every Friday. And, I would replenish over the weekend so that if there were people that were coming, because we live on a lake. There are a lot of Airbnbs. There are a lot of people that come to spend the weekend at the lake or spend a week at the lake. And they like to stop and get fresh flowers. And I thought it was great. But here's the thing. I had a donation lockbox, got very little to none. I set out vases for people to borrow under the understanding they were supposed to bring them back. People took the vases, didn't bring them back. I went from putting vases out to just mason jars. They wouldn't bring the mason jars back, and it's like, you're taking the flowers, you're not leaving a donation, and then you're not bringing the vase back. And so I became frustrated because it's like, wait a minute, I'm trying to do something positive for my community. I'm growing these gorgeous flowers, making these beautiful bouquets. It's time and effort out of my day. I don't know, that there wasn't the appreciation there, I guess. And so I stopped doing it. One of the vases that I had set out was just a cheap cut glass vase, nothing special, but it was my mom's. It didn't get returned. I actually posted on the Facebook community group, hey, if you have this particular vase, would you please return it? Just leave it on the table by the road. It was my mom's. It's kind of sentimental. Doesn't have any value. It's just like glass. But I wanted it back, and I did not get it back. I couldn't even give away flowers for a small donation. So I don't know that you could grow enough flowers to make a flower business profitable enough to offset your salary. Maybe you can. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to do it. And I accept that. I'm sure there are people out there that are smarter than I am that has figured this out and is like, oh no, you can totally retire early, quit your career and be a flower farmer. And here's how you do it. Great. If you have that knowledge, please share it, because I've gotten this question several times and I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So if you can, please share. Until next time, I wish you health and wealth. Oh, I didn't do the sign out. Okay.